Lioness Season 3, Episode 3 just delivered the single best geopolitical explainer this show has ever attempted, and by the end of it, Jo is strapped to a bed in an abandoned facility with a literal drinking bird dripping water onto her face. Let's break down exactly how America becomes the bear, why Russia and China can't just attack it directly, and what the ending really means. Before I start, just to let you know, this video contains spoilers. The episode opens with a protracted interrogation involving very real threats against OLEKSANDRA'S relatives. People who have done nothing wrong being used as leverage because the actual suspects are trained to resist pressure. Lioness has always operated in morally grey territory, but with Jo's home life now directly in the firing line, the show is signaling that the rules have shifted. It's uncomfortable by design. The show doesn't ask you to approve of this, it asks you to understand why people in this position might do it anyway. Threatened, cornered, and still composed enough to build an airtight argument, OLEKSANDRA insists she had nothing to do with exposing Jo, and she's convincing. Convincing enough that Kyle and Cruz believe her. Convincing enough that, honestly, I believed her too. What makes this monologue land isn't the words, it's the control underneath them. She's not pleading. She's reasoning her way out of a death sentence in real time, and doing it with the precision of someone who has clearly talked her way out of worse. That's a genuinely great piece of writing disguised as a simple defense speech. Cut to the past. After the attack on her home, Neil and the kids push Jo toward a career change. Her response is ice-cold conviction, a speech about fighting for a way of life, about sacrifices that are worth making. And then she goes straight back to work, like the conversation never happened. It's easy to romanticize being married to someone like Jo from a distance. Zoe Saldana radiates exactly that kind of magnetism. But strip away the performance and look at what's actually happening. A woman whose teenage daughters now get chased down the highway on the school run because their armed escort didn't like the angle of a parked semi-truck. That's how we do it, is the justification given for treating a random truck as a potential ambush. Imagine being 15 and hearing that as your explanation for why your morning commute turned into a tactical exercise. Jo's conviction is real. It's also asking an enormous amount from people who never signed up for this life the way she did. Lioness has trained its audience to expect at least one big action set piece per episode. The bear is infected delivers 0 gunfire. Not one. Instead, conversations. Dense, loaded, high-stakes conversations that carry every ounce of the tension a shootout usually would. Tension doesn't require bullets, it requires stakes, and this episode has stakes in abundance. The absence of action isn't a lull. It's a deliberate flex. The show proving it can hold your attention with nothing but sharp dialogue and a slow tightening sense of dread. Once OLEKSANDRA sits down with Jo's team, she lays out the metaphor the entire episode is built around. Russia is the wolf pack, China is the tiger, America is the bear. Neither predator can take the bear down in a direct fight, and the two of them can't even work together. So both are trying to kill it with disease instead. China spreads that disease through decades of financial infiltration. Russia spreads it through espionage, honeypotting, blackmail, turning FBI agents, military officials, and congressmen against their own country. This is genuinely elegant writing because it reframes the entire season's stakes in a single conversation. It's not about one mission or one target anymore. It's about two completely different, slow-moving infection strategies working on the same host simultaneously. OLEKSANDRA even points out that Russia and China both know about the Lioness program and don't care, because it's never been used against them before. That one line quietly tells you this season is operating in different territory than anything the show has done so far. OLEKSANDRA hands over her target list. Low-level assets go to the FBI. The bigger fish, including 5 sitting US senators, stay with the CIA, since OLEKSANDRA personally managed them. 2 had campaigns funded by Russia. 1 received heavy district investment. 1 had a spouse running an investment firm tied to Russian money. The 5th was caught the old-fashioned way, drugged, photographed with a Russian asset, and blackmailed ever since. This isn't one clean method of compromise, it's 5 completely different vulnerabilities exploited 5 completely different ways. That range is what makes Errol's earlier disease metaphor land. You can't vaccinate against all of it with one fix. Before OLEKSANDRA even walks into headquarters, Errol lays out how China and Russia actually operate. China plays the long game: information theft, decades-long financial leverage, patience measured in generations rather than news cycles. He even connects this to the funding trail behind a certain Wuhan lab, implying US officials may have been compromised enough to look the other way. Rather than exposing the senators directly and triggering a political catastrophe, Joe pushes for something more surgical. Announce that they've captured a Russian asset, the honeypot girl photographed with the senator, without naming or showing her. Then let panic do the rest. Every contact on her list, every SVR handler she's ever worked with, will scramble to protect themselves, and in scrambling, expose themselves. The episode jumps to the present. Joe is strapped down in what looks like an abandoned mental facility, a drinking bird rigged above her head, dripping water onto her face to keep her from sleeping. On a TV above her, her captors play a 6-month-old news broadcast. The White House press secretary confirming the FBI arrested a Russian SVR agent with no name or photo attached. The question worth sitting with here isn't just what's happening to Joe, it's why the Russians are making her watch this specific broadcast. There are a few real possibilities. Maybe they suspect a mole inside their own agency and grabbed the easiest available CIA target to find out how much the Americans actually know. Maybe the arrest exposed enough of their network that this is straightforward revenge. Or maybe, and this is the more unsettling read, they're not trying to get anything back at all. Yuromov is already gone. This might purely be about protecting whatever's left of their operation by figuring out exactly how compromised they are. Either way, the show is using Joe's own successful plan as the mechanism of her torture. The barn burned exactly the way she wanted it to. She just didn't expect to end up standing inside it. Episode 3 does something most spy thrillers struggle with. The bear, wolf pack, and tiger framing gives the whole season a clarity it didn't have before. And Joe's plan working exactly as intended, only to trap her instead, is the kind of irony this show has clearly been building toward all season. Drop a like if that wolf pack, tiger, bear breakdown finally made the geopolitics click for you too. Subscribe for every Lioness episode breakdown. I'll see you for episode 4.